I'm going to be reading to you from, first we'll begin with Romans, the first chapter. It occurs to me more and more that the things that we will be talking about tonight from Matthew, as well as anything from what we discussed this morning, God more and more is trying to make us to understand that what's happening in the church, even in its greatest sincerity, is that what we're doing is we are taking the life of God and trying to do something with it, instead of letting the life of God do the one thing with us. And it keeps us in a realm that is very limited. And God is trying to make us aware of His purpose that will take us beyond the limits that we've placed upon Him. The question that I asked today, and I guess if I was going to title this, and I suppose I am, would be, who is God? You know, if the purpose of the church, we can read in Hebrews, it says that Jesus was the express image. Jesus said, I am come. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Romans says that He come declaring, no man has seen Him, but He come declaring Him or displaying Him. Then Jesus said to the church, He said, as the Father sent me, so send I you. So if we understand all that, then what we have to understand is what we're to do is display God. We're to present God. Not our version of God, not our idea of God, but God. So it is very important, isn't it, then, that we understand, well, who is God then? If I'm supposed to present Him, and if the walk in the Spirit is in fact nothing less than the presenting of Him, it is crucial that we understand how to recognize who God is, whether it be in you, whether it be in the church, corporate. We must know who He is. And I do not believe, for the most part, that the church in our day and time knows who God is. They know who they have presented. But what we've done is we've brought God and made God a product of the church, instead of the church a product of God. So the answer to that then must be found. In Romans, the first chapter, reading from the 6th verse, it said, concerning His Son Jesus Christ, our Lord, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh, and declared to be the Son of God with power, according to the Spirit of holiness, by the resurrection from the dead, by whom we have received grace and apostleship for obedience to the faith among all the nations for His name, among whom are you also the called of Jesus Christ. I want you to note within what we've just read, there are 4 terms that are given to us. These 4 terms are given to us in a very definite instruction of God. He said, I give you something specific for a specific purpose to be used in a specific place. And those 4 terms are grace, apostleship, faith, and calling. Understanding that these 4 things in the operation of God are one thing and cannot be separated. In Matthew, where we're going to look tonight, I'm just going to read the very beginning of that text. In Matthew 25:14, for the kingdom of heaven is a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. Unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. What we're reading of here, and when we speak of the goods of this master, is the grace and the apostleship and the faith and the calling on your life. Grace and apostleship is God setting you aside to send you out with the life of God as an influence to touch the world. Christianity is supposed to touch the world with the life of God, a very definite and specific force. It is our ministry to take this life of God and influence the world with it. Nothing else is our ministry. Within this grace and apostleship and faith and calling, we will find the assignment of God and the capability of accomplishing that assignment. And we will also find the faith that will enable us to do what God has sent us to do. All of God's plan and purpose is your call. Do you see how all four of them work together? I've set you apart with a specific assignment. That assignment and that purpose is your faith. And by obedience to your faith, you will accomplish my calling. All of these things, I will make this more clear as we go. All of these things are definite in the mind of God. They're not go out there and put up a church. They're not go out there and preach some sermons. They're not go out there to have a worship team. They're not go out there and do some good things. It is God saying, I have a specific purpose for your life. And when you let that lay hold of you, then and only then can you minister the life of God. This is not a religious thing. You cannot separate grace and apostleship and faith and calling. For these things constitute walking in the Spirit in your life. Any one of them removed and you're not walking in the Spirit. This all takes place and is made possible through, we are told in the text of Romans, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. In 1 Peter 1:3, blessed be the God and the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, which according to His abundant mercy hath begotten us again unto a lively hope by the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. Something took place at that point. Now in Romans, the 8th chapter and the 11th verse, it says, but if the Spirit of Him that raised up Jesus from the dead dwell in you, He that raised up Christ from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by His Spirit that dwelleth in you. What the church individually and corporately must understand is the purpose of God in your life is not for you to because the life of God is in you, to think that you have to do something with that life.